This week on The Real Housewives of Potomac.
Well, we're going to go back to Colorado and then get our stuff and pack up, and then we're just going to be back and forth until we find a house that we want.
They were saying you were evicted, girl.
I need a nap.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping the new episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 11. Let's get right into this. Let's get into this episode, you guys, because I've got a lot to say. So the opening scene is Tia. She's having a polo event. Her brother is there. The company that she works for actually sponsors this event. She says that in Nigeria, polo is like a big deal, so she likes it. She's into it. And Tia invited all of the women. The whole group is there, including Jazzy. Stacey's not there, which I don't think it's surprising. I could have guessed that because Stacey literally kicked her out last week. Ashley, once everybody is there and they're on the sprinter on their way, Ashley says, "Oh, well, I noticed that Stacey isn't here." And Tia says, "Yeah, I mean, she was disinvited. I had never been kicked out of anywhere until she did it. I've heard so much about her lies in the web, and like now I'm in the web." And then Jazzy says, "Well, I'm gonna need some proof that my girl is a liar." And Ashley says to Jazzy, "Well, did you know that she wasn't going to go to your wedding until she found out that Wendy and I were going to go as well?" Which, I wonder if that's true, guys. What do y'all think? Do y'all believe Ashley? Do y'all think that is true? A part of me thinks that might be true. If I were, like, thinking about, like, once I really think about it, maybe if Stacey knew it was just going to be her, maybe she wouldn't have wanted to go. But because she did hear that Ashley and Wendy were going, that's why she decided to go. I don't know. I really can't say, yeah, I believe it or not. I just don't know, but let me know what y'all think. So they make it to the event. Now, this was random. Apparently they wanted somebody to sing the national anthem. Angel happens to be a good singer. We didn't know that, but now we do. So Tia had asked her to sing. Now Ashley inserted herself and said, "Well, what about me? She thinks that she can sing." So Tia was like, "Okay, sure." So then somehow, here at the event, Ashley, Angel, Kay, and Gizelle happen to sing. It didn't sound too bad. The only one that sounded bad was actually Ashley, to be honest with you. So I guess Kay and Gizelle might be pretty decent. And like an Angel did sound good. But then the game starts. Then they want some of the women to help stomp in the divots, whatever that means. The event felt a little odd, but it wasn't bad. So then eventually Jazzy talks to Ashley. Jazzy says to Ashley, "Well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming to my wedding. It did definitely set me back a little that Stacey questioned about coming. I would have never done that if it were her wedding." And then Ashley says, "Yeah. And to be honest, we did have a lot of fun at your wedding. And there's moments where I can see a path forward with Stacey, but then she does all these things and she's unpredictable." It looked like Jazzy definitely is thinking about whether or not Stacey might be a little fake in their friendship. It looks like she doesn't want to believe it, but at the same time, she's giving it some thought, it seems like. So then they eat some of the food from the event, and Tia says to them, "Well, it looks like we had a good time." And they say, "Yeah." And then Ashley says, "Yeah, I feel like as a group, we're coming back together. We're getting to a good place. Although, Angel, I do know that you mentioned that we weren't really making an effort to include you in the group. But, today would have been a good opportunity for you to spend time with some other ladies that you don't really know too much in the group." And Angel's like, "Yeah, I'll take time to spend one-on-one time, even with Miss Wendy. Like, we're all going to be all right. For sure." And then somebody's like, "Wendy, are y'all going to be all right?" Then all of a sudden, the screen shows 18 hours later. And we are over at Angel and Bobby's place that they were renting with a bunch of boxes. And they're packing up everything because they need to go back to Colorado. So they had a rental here in Maryland, which she told us that before, because they're looking for a home to buy. So they were renting this one for now. Now, according to Angel, there was some miscommunication with the dates, so they need to get out. She got a message from the owners that they need to get out because somebody else is coming to stay now. So, again, Angel and Bobby are packing up, getting everything ready. Then Kay comes over, and so does Tia. So Angel is explaining to them that they gotta head back to Colorado. They're getting on a plane soon. The house was double booked, and she got a message from the homeowner saying, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed your stay, but the checkout time is at 12 p.m. or whatever. Tia's like, well, where are y'all going to put all of your stuff? And Angel says, well, the house was already furnished, so this is not actually their furniture. So they just have to pack like clothes and, some of the things that the kids have. Tia says, oh, okay, well, now we have to get really serious about you buying this house here. Like, are you working with a realtor? And Angel says, yeah, but I mean, I'm down to double team it if you want to join. Because remember, Tia is a realtor too, so she wants to kind of help Angel and Bobby find a home here. So it sounds like she might help them look for that Maryland home that they're ready to buy. So then Tia and Kay help pack. They help Angel for a little bit, and then they head out after that. Now, when they're done with that, we see Tia getting into her car, driving back, and she gets a phone call from Gizelle. And as soon as it said that Gizelle was calling, I said, oh Lord, I already knew what was going to happen. So Gizelle was calling her to invite her to a 4th of July party. Tia does talk to Gizelle briefly about some of the struggles that she's having with one of her daughters that's got a little bit of an attitude problem. And then here goes what I knew would happen. Tia tells Gizelle, I actually just left Angel's house. Poor thing, she's literally having to move out. Apparently her lease is up and the house is already rented out to someone else. So they're going back to Colorado and come back once they've bought a home. So then here goes Miss Gizelle. She says, oh, wait a minute. So basically she came here for the show? Just to be on the show? And then Tia says, I don't think so. I mean, she's from here. She does want to buy a home here. And Gizelle says, or maybe she doesn't really like us like that. This is kind of weird, she says. Gizelle thinks that Angel might have thought that filming would only last a certain amount of time, and maybe she didn't anticipate that it would be this long since they are still filming, and that's why she might have given the wrong dates. I don't know. I mean, this is one of those situations where I can't really say, yeah, she's lying. I mean, maybe there was a miscommunication. I don't know. But then we see a nice scene where Eddie and Wendy take their daughter Camry to a little training class. Sounds like their kids are into a lot of like extracurricular activities, so that's nice. So they're there taking their little girl and kind of waiting as she's doing that. So apparently that event that Gizelle was inviting Tia to, the 4th of July, Wendy is doing it with Gizelle. It's the both of them. And then Wendy and Eddie are talking about their home renovations. And oh my goodness, how embarrassing and awkward is it to hear these two and these scenes talking about budgets and invoice and how much they're spending. I mean, it's like impossible not to see it through the lens of what we know now with their indictments. But she's also telling Eddie that her dad has been calling her and she's hesitant to answer his call. And then Eddie gives her some advice and some support. All right, then moving along to the next scene, Stacy and Kay meet up for lunch. Listen, it wouldn't be Housewives if two housewives that were beefing didn't at one point have a one-on-one lunch. And this is theirs. So Stacy wanted to order some appetizers. Kay says that she's allergic to cheese. And then Stacy proceeds to order an appetizer with cheese. And Kay got mad. But you know what, Kay? I'm sorry that you can't have any cheese. That actually sounds sad. But if I can't order cheese because you're allergic, then we can't be friends. I mean, what? But they begin to talk about their friendship because they were kind of close at the beginning. Kay is saying to Stacy, when we were at Lake Norman last season, we shared the bunk beds and we bonded and we shared a lot of things with each other. Then all of a sudden, we're at the Bloom Ball, and you didn't even want to talk to me. So then Stacy's like, whoa. Like, let's keep things in chronological order, because before the Bloom Ball, we went to Gizelle's house, and you called me names and came after me about, it was about the whole TJ situation. So then Stacy's like, if you did that to me at Gizelle's house, what makes you think that I would then, after that, be all nice and want to talk to you like if you've never said anything to me? Kay says, well, you've made references to and weaponized my altercation when I was assaulted. And then Stacey says, well, yeah, because every time I see you, you're always acting up. Like, for example, just at Gizelle's party. But I've never said you were violent. But why would you even go to Monique and say to her, oh, Stacey dated your ex-husband? And it's actually sad because I think we have a lot of things in common. I just started a business. I'm back with my ex. I heard you're back with Greg. So Kay says, listen, I'm very direct. I don't want you to think that I would ever harm you. I don't want you to think that and make it be your defense. That's not how I act or whatever. And then Stacey says, okay, I received that. And if you ever hear anything about me, can you just give me the benefit of the doubt and just ask me? And then Kay says, I will. So Stacey says, great, cheers to moving forward. So they made up. Do I think it'll last? Probably not, but we'll see. Then moving on to the next scene, Wendy, Gizelle, and Ashley meet up, and they actually got a text from Angel. She's inviting them to Colorado for a girls' trip. Angel wanted to get to know them since they're saying that she makes no effort, so why not have an event? A trip where they can get to know her, and because they're going to be in Colorado anyway, it would be nice. So then Gizelle and Wendy talk a little bit about their 4th of July event that's coming up. It's also going to be like a potluck. They say that Stacey's bringing the potato salad. So then Gizelle says to them, I have to tell y'all about Angel. Angel got kicked out of her house. And then Wendy says, oh, well, let me tell y'all this tea. I have a friend that's a realtor, and she told me that some girl came up to her and asked her for a house, and that she needed her to make it look like the house was $50,000 a month, but the girl was only willing to pay $2,000 a month. And this said girl wanted to have a lavish lifestyle that she could present, even though she didn't have it like that. My. The way things come back at you like a boomerang. Look who's talking about acting like you got a lavish lifestyle. Not the girl with 20 different credit cards with fake names of $400,000 insurance fraud. Allegedly. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just ridiculous. And then Gizelle says, well, maybe Bobby wanted to leave. I heard he didn't like Eddie. And then Wendy just laughs. And then Gizelle says, I'm just kidding. I made that up. And then they were like, okay. But like that, that was weird. Like, we know, Gizelle, that you make things up. But for you to just the way she said it almost sounded real. Oh, I heard Bobby doesn't like Eddie. What if Wendy wouldn't have laughed? What if she would have been mad? Would Gizelle have kept the lie going? That's kind of dangerous. And listen, the thing about Gizelle is that when someone is going through it, when they're going through something, it seems like she thrives on it. Like, she enjoys it, which is kind of awful. So then we go straight to the 4th of July party the following day. Wendy brought some Popeye's chicken because her kitchen is getting renovated, so she can't really cook. Someone brought some crabs, catfish. Ashley brought some catfish, and the only reason she brought catfish was literally for it to be a dig towards Angel. Because they called her a catfish earlier this season. That's why she brought it. Ashley, you are awful. Especially after the little stint that you pulled last episode. Breaking up with that guy after calling him poor. I really don't care for Ashley. Charrisse was there. And the place looks similar to where Karen had her pickleball event. I don't know if it's the same one, but it looks similar. So then all the women begin to arrive. Most of them are there. Kate calls Angel and says, hey, babe, like, where are you? And Angel says, we're on our way. And Kay's like, well, when will y'all get here? And Bobby says, we'll get there when we get there. Because I think he was hearing, obviously. Now, when Kay was making the phone call, she happened to have the phone on speakerphone. So all the other ladies heard this. And Wendy and Ashley were just doing way too much. Oh, that didn't sound family friendly. And then Ashley wanting to say, oh, it sounds like Bobby has some, he's got a temper. Shut up. Like, really? Stacey came and she brought Thimu. I think that's how you say his name. So he finally met the entire group. She did bring her potato salad, which the ladies wanted to make fun of her about it. It looked okay. Jazzy brought some mac and cheese. So, they committed. The ladies committed. Tia brought, she brought some rice. So they're beginning to eat. Bobby and Angel finally make it. Then Gizelle and Wendy get the mic and start going off about some bull-ish. And Wendy starts going around on the mic, and she's starting to say what everybody brought. So she's like, Gizelle brought the dessert, and Jazzy brought the mac and cheese, and da-da-da-da-da. And Ashley brought the catfish. The catfish! She reiterated the catfish, wanting to make sure Angel heard it. And of course Angel heard it, but that is just so nasty, so rude. Listen, but Angel said in her confessional that at least when she had her revenge, she had a chef in an open bar. And here they have Popeyes and half a rented space with a few balloons. So eventually they're all sitting, and then Ashley finally says to Angel, so we heard that you needed to move out your house within days. And then Angel says, yeah, we're an NFL family. We're used to moving. We had a short lease, and we thought that we would have the house by now. So we're going back to Colorado and get some stuff and pack up and then move back when we buy the house. So then Tia's asking some questions. She's like, oh, well, was it the lease for July 12th or July 1st? And then Angel's like, I don't know. I don't know what happened, honestly. I don't know. And then Ashley says, well, as a mom, I know that you're on top of your things, so it's really surprising that you wouldn't know something so important. And then Wendy says, girl, they're saying you got evicted. And that was the end of the episode. As I'm sure you can tell, this episode pissed me off because they were just being... It gets... Listen, I know we're watching The Real Housewives. The drama, the dragging, the shading, it's all part of it. But there are some times when it just feels a little bit too... Like the women are a little bit too miserable. Like when you're actually enjoying somebody having some issues, it just feels weird, uncomfortable to watch. Like I said, I'm done with this Ashley wanting to, and I don't know if y'all noticed this, but she is so condescending, calling people babe every time she's about to put them down. Babe, babe, you need to do this. Babe, let's keep it a buck. And then Wendy, the hypocrisy of it all. Gizelle, is there really anything else I can say? At the end of the day, like I said, I don't know what happened with Angel. Do I think she got evicted? No, I do not. But we'll see what happens with the rest of the season. This might be a really good reunion because a lot of stuff's been going down. And then as far as Bobby being over it, I get it with him being like, we'll get there when we get there. Damn, I would be over it too. Could you imagine if your wife was, constantly upset about what this group of women was saying about her, and he was standing there while Wendy made that catfish comment? You'd be over it too. Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. Is that to say that Angel hadn't been really towards the beginning of the season when they took that first cast trip? Was she kind of like a Debbie Downer and kind of depressed? And was that a little off-putting to some viewers? Absolutely. And I understand that. But you got to remember, she just had a baby before filming. So I don't know. I might be on the minority as I usually am with most of the housewife drama and issues, but I am on Angel's side. I think it's hard coming in as a newbie. Again, she just had a baby. It's a lot with the moving, the this, the that, and they're just coming for her too much. So I don't know, but these are my thoughts. These are my opinions, and I ain't changing them. But y'all let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Even if you disagree, just let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one.